Welcome to the Meet Me podcast, a podcast all about our multifaceted human nature and constant journey through self discovery. With personal stories and insights around trauma, motherhood, relationships, spirituality, and individuality, I'm your host, Michelle Malik. Thanks for listening. Hello again, and welcome back to the Meet Me podcast. As always, I'm your host, Michelle Malik, and through this podcast, I hope to inspire and encourage others to transform their trauma and experiences into power, purpose, and connection. In today's episode, I'm joined by Spencer Jones. He's one of the co-founders for the organization Jonesin For and was granted the title of Prince of Positivity. Through his ability to energize people and spread light to others, he has created this organization of energizers that are there to support one another in shining their light, finding their authenticity, spreading joy to others, and providing guidance along the way. It was great to hear all of the different ways that Jonesin For supports their community. If you're interested in joining them, all of that information will be available, of course. But outside of that, I really enjoyed getting to know Spencer on a personal level, even with his name, the Prince of Positivity, getting to talk through some of his past struggles and knowing that no matter how positive we are, we're going to have downturns in our lives, and just being able to bring ourselves back to self, bring ourselves back to the truth of the love that surrounds all of us. And so I hope that you get something out of this episode. I know that it was very inspiring to speak with him. You'll feel his energy radiating through wherever you're listening, I'm sure. And without further ado, let's go ahead and dive in. Welcome to the Meet Me podcast, Spencer. Such a pleasure to have you here.
Oh my gosh, thank you for having me. I'm super excited to be here with you and just I feel your energy and I'm loving it.
Such a great compliment to start off the conversation. Well, I would love to kind of give you the opportunity to introduce yourself to the listeners, give a little bit of an overview of who you are and what you have going on.
Well, thank you so much. So my name's Spencer Jones, also known as a Prince of Positivity. I must love giving positivity out or share that light. But basically what I do is was a middle school, high school choir director for 9 years, turned full-time entrepreneur now, where I help people step into their light and shine bright, right? People, especially leaders who feel exhausted and frustrated and irritated, letting other people and other things drain their energy. That was happening to me for many, many years, and letting other people be the master of my energy. Well, we help them be the master of their own energy sovereignty, reclaim that, and to step into their light and shine, or as I like to say, live their life to the max.
That's beautiful. I love that as kind of your mission statement. And I want to go into, just your background. You had mentioned doing the choir director for quite some time. What was the shift for you? Like, how did you decide to move away from that and get into the work that you've become so passionate about?
Good question. I appreciate you asking, because it wasn't like there's some people who it's a direct incident, right? Or there's all of a sudden flip of the switch, like, oh, this isn't right for me anymore. Let's get out, excuse me, out of here. And for me, that wasn't the case at all. It was interesting. I've always been an entrepreneur. I never would have guessed it years ago, but then now looking back, I'm like, oh my gosh, I had a lawn mowing business as a kid. I sold pumpkins, all those different things, and even had my own piano studio for a while when I was in college. So in any case, I never thought of that. I got into teaching because I thought, well, this is what I should be doing. This is what I love to do. And after I got in the classroom, I fell in love with being there with the kids and helping them express themselves through music, create that community, that safe place in school. School can be a hard time, not only with the other kids, but you're going through all the changes in your body and at home, and you're trying to figure it all out, and it's confusing. So I was able to give them a safe place and a place to express themselves and have that family. And so that was great. And I was enjoying it. And probably about 4 years in, out of my 9-year teaching career, I started to feel the pull to do something else. Like, I know that I love teaching. It's still in my heart, but there's something else. This isn't where I'm meant to be long term. So I just kind of started to experiment, look at different things. One of my passions is kayak fishing. So I started to look at that and how could that be a business or something else I could do. And nothing was quite scratching that itch. I tried different things, fitness, and through fitness, I discovered personal growth and started working on myself and started feeling those changes within me and learning, oh, I can be positive all the time. I can master my energy sovereignty, and dug into the science and all that. that I really started to love that and build that out. And that started to help me feel, well, scratch that itch to feel fulfilled, as it were. So then after 9 years building that business, probably the last 2 or 3 years of my teaching career, I retired from teaching and took this on full time and developed the Energizer ecosystem that we have today.
Wow, amazing. What a journey. And yeah, I mean, I think everybody comes to this type of work, completely different backgrounds, different ways about it. Sometimes, like you said, it is that definitive, okay, I'm done with this, time to move on to the other thing. But there's a lot of times where there is that overlap and sort of finding where it is that you fit. Because when we talk into like energy, whether it be healing or coaching or whatever it is in that regard, I've found there are so many categories that you can fall under. And it's kind of like finding the one that really fits true to your soul and your intuitive guidance is leading you towards. So it sounds like you kind of were having like that nagging for a bit and it just took a while until you finally found the one that fit.
Yeah, exactly. To figure out which one really resonates with me, and not only the healing part for me, but the energy of where am I supposed to go? Like, what's the direction of my life? What's my life's purpose? And even after I retired from teaching, it still took some soul searching. I'm like, okay, it's this general direction. It's helping people. It's helping people shine their light. Okay, but then what is it exactly? And that still took a couple years. And it was day when I was out kayak fishing, chasing my passions. There was a town that I used to teach at. I'm a bad fisherman as it is, so I mean that didn't help. But fishing was slow. I wasn't catching anything, so I'm just enjoying the beautiful day. And I'm thinking about some of the things I've did as a choir director, and we put together this fundraising event for other choirs, area choirs to come in and do like this competition, think American Idol style, but choir version. And it was a great success, except out of the 5 years we ran it, my choir only won 1 year. Like we only got first place 1 out of the 5 years. I'm like, okay, that's interesting. I'm just kind of reviewing and reflecting on it. And I realized, okay, maybe we didn't have necessarily the best cutoffs or the best intonation, but the comments that we got year after year after year from judges were that the kids' energy was right there. It was on point, and we could shift it from this piece to that point. And when they gave us feedback, boom, we were able to apply it instantly. And that's when it hit me, like God spoke to me and said, "You energize people. That's what you do. That's your purpose is to help energize people and step into the light and shine." And I'm like, "Oh, dang." And then after thinking about it while I'm kayak fishing, I'm like, "Oh my gosh, I've done that for so many different students, and I did that before with different things I've done. Like this is it. I've just done it through different ways, and now let's do it through this way,
Yeah.
through this entrepreneurial route." And it's been so invigorating, so empowering to have that clarity then and then build it up. As you said, there's so many different realms and avenues with the energy world that I love that we're not just one way of it. We're kind of like the overarching umbrella, and then we can connect people with others to help them with those individual ways that connect. So it's been empowering and invigorating and energizing to me.
Yeah, you speak to such an important part too with a lot of people who maybe aren't quite on their direct path, right? Like where they can find those things. And you mentioned sort of just recognizing what you're really good at, what you've always been good at, what is natural to you. And I feel like that's such an important place to start when somebody is trying to figure out, like, what am I here for? Because I am a firm believer every single person has a unique path that they're meant to go down. It can be hard to sort of filter through all the narratives that we grew up with or in society and quieting all that noise. But there is always that like one constant if somebody just digs deep enough to find it. And so I love that you were able to identify like, yeah, maybe I've worn a lot of different hats, had a lot of different titles, but the one thing that has been consistent is that energizing. And so when you went into the entrepreneurial work that you're doing now, did you start with the academy and where did you start when you went down that path?
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for asking. We did not start with the academy right off the bat. It was a journey that unfolded and trial and error that led us to this point. But I'd love to hop back just a little bit if I can
Yeah.
to talk about that because I don't know about you. For me personally, when I was trying to figure out my purpose, my why, because it seemed like the people I was talking to or listened to had it, right? People might be listening to us and going like, oh, well, they know their why, right? Like Spencer knows his and my friends, but I don't know what mine is. And you can get down and frustrated at yourself because like I don't have clarity. I will say that sucks. I feel you. I've been there. If you open yourself up to like, okay, what do I enjoy doing? not just what makes me happy, but what brings joy into my heart, what makes me smile, and think back to different points in your life when your heart smiled. That could be a cue for you to look at and say, like, oh, maybe it's that direction. And then we could start experimenting and looking, going down that pathway. Because what for me, I look at it, it's like you're walking down a road, but it's foggy, right? And so it's foggy. You're like, I know this is a direction. It brings me joy. This seems right. This seems to be aligned, but I don't know exactly what it is. It's foggy. So the more you walk down that foggy road, you start to see a little bit farther, a little bit farther, a little bit farther. And the more you just stay open to, well, what could this be? What could this be? You can ask your friends, your family, hey, what am I really good at? What do you notice is like a through line through my life? And even some people you've just met, what do you notice about me? Because sometimes their initial reaction or initial thoughts can help you go like, oh yeah, I could look at that. Not saying that they're going to be right or wrong, but it can help you get some clarity. And so I listened to it. I asked people, and I was still confused at points, but then I was just like, I'm open. Like, what's my purpose? And then chasing my passion, right? It hit me. And then I saw all of a sudden, I saw that through line throughout my whole life. So don't beat yourself up if you're not there yet. Be open to it. Ask questions, ask yourself, be open to answers, and just see what it is and know that keep taking those steps. Keep taking the steps. You'll get more and more clear the more steps that you take. So going from there into, what we're doing now, I wasn't sure what we were going to do. So I retired from teaching right before COVID happened. So I'm like, okay, great. We had fitness and mindset work, and we were going to work with companies. Well, COVID happened, and there goes that whole plan, right? They're not hiring anybody or bringing people in anymore, and change a game plan. So then from there, we really focus on, well, let's build our community. Let's build our Energizer family as a base and see how we can pour love and light into them. And so I've been doing some coaching already at that point with positive mindset, abundance, helping you maximize your energy, time management, stuff like that. And that was going well, but again, right, COVID kind of shifted that a little bit, and people's priorities shifted. So, all right, well, let's keep pouring into our community. How can we help? Let's keep the coaching. And we started small groups and realized, oh, here are the things that our community is really struggling with, our energizers are commonly going through. And so we started doing these cohorts. Cohorts are basically like a live class that we take for a set amount of time. I'd say you meet weekly on Zoom, usually virtual, like on Zoom for 3 weeks or 4 weeks, right? So it's a live class, something like that. So, any case, we had those. We're like, okay, let's help the energizers out and through these different places. And then, well, why not create an academy, like a library of resources people can have 24/7, 365, anytime access to,
Yeah.
right? This library of access to trainings and courses, not just from me, because cool, I know my stuff in certain fields, but why not learn from a variety of experts who have been through the fire. They've learned, they've grown. Now they're reaching their arm back, say, hey, let me help you and guide you and support you. And then, I'm looking at all the different resources out there. This is a time when, COVID's happening and the virtual world's booming, right? So a lot of people are having virtual events. A lot of big names are putting together these awesome programs, and it was fantastic. And when I look at other programs, other academies and websites and classes and all that, I notice one big thing through that, and that is all of their people teaching are big names. They're people who, make six figures just to take a stage, or you have to pay six figures just to join one of their master classes and hopefully get to see them and talk with them. And I said, okay, that's great for the people who have that, but a lot of people don't. And really, I don't relate to those people as much. So why not bring people, experts who are vetted, who know their stuff, but who are accessible, right? You can hop on a Zoom call, you could chat with them. You can send them an email and they'll message you back. So then they're accessible. I find that they're more relatable, and then they're still experts. So that's kind of what we did is we found other experts in their field who want to pour love and light into you, who are accessible and all that good stuff, and brought them into one place so people can learn and grow.
That's amazing. Yeah, and I think you brought up a really important part when it comes to community. I think in any area, we're going to find moments along our path where maybe we don't know the proper guidance or we don't know which step to take next. And, it can be very daunting when you're at this point in your maybe like at a fork in the road, and you see one side and it's these people making billions of dollars, millions of dollars, all this success, overnight success. And it's like, okay, well, maybe that's a little bit too overwhelming. So making it tangible and making it accessible for people is so important. And I think just by building out a community of like-minded individuals, people who are also passionate about the same things, it's like you kind of filter through all of the noise again and find the people who really need to find you. And I think anybody along any part of their journey has some value to give to the person who is maybe a few steps behind. Like, I think we can all just continually bring each other up into that level of great success, however you want to define that. But it starts by bringing that awareness and making things accessible for people. So I love that that was a big mission for you. Now, I guess kind of with the work that you're doing. So you mentioned the energizers quite a bit. Can you tell me a little bit about who they are and, what exactly it is they do for your organization?
Yeah, well, the Energizers is our community, right? They
Okay.
are our people, just the fun name that we have for them because we all have this beautiful light inside of us, this energy. Let's let it shine. So if we have this beautiful light and we're this energy, well, we're all energizers, right? And so there's times that we feel depleted and drained and exhausted, and other times we feel energized and alive and focused and all that good stuff. And so what we do as a community, like you said, is we pour into one another. Hey, I've been through this. Let me help you. I might not be a full-on expert in it, but I can tell you what worked for me and I can help you. Or, hey, I've done the research, I've looked into this, I am the expert here, let me help you, right? And so just having that community support's huge. The way I like to look at the Energizer family, so they're heart-centered leaders who are there who want to pour love and light into others, but also be poured into. Is the Energizer family is a community of people who are loved, supported, and celebrated by one another, by us, and by each other. And it's a place there's no judgment. It's a community that you can call home from anywhere, wherever you are in the world. They've been crucial to my growth, to my joy and love in life, but also to everything that we're doing because they're the lifeblood of us are the energizers.
And now, in terms of kind of what you do within this community, I'd love to hear kind of the different focus areas that your organization supports and maybe where people can kind of come in on an entry basis to like a more intensive experience. It seems like there are different levels to that.
Yeah, thank you. There are different levels to being in the Energizer family, and any level that works for you is beautiful. And that's what we love about it, is that hey, there's no judgment. Whatever works for you and where you are at in life, that's beautiful. The things that we do, so our company's called Jonesin For, you're Jonesin for positivity or something fun like that. And the community's the Energizers. Well, the Energizers ecosystem has three components to it. One is our community, the Energizer community, and we have a free Facebook group you could join. It's called the Energy Hub. Come join it. It's free. That's where we reside. That's where we can pour love and light into and support one another. That's where we ask for support. That's where we celebrate one another, right? We bring positivity to your Facebook feed. So that's a free group. We also do some free calls and different things in there, meditations, things to pour into you and help out as well. Some master classes in there as well. And then the second part's the academy, the Jonesin For Academy, which is an online personal growth academy. We have over 100 trainings and courses by amazing experts that are in the Energy Hub, which is a cool part, right? It all ties back in, so then you can connect and work with them. And then we do live events and virtual events. So we go all around the world and put together events that are 1-day events to 7-day things about different focuses to help people on their journey. So if a person wants to find that peace and quiet, that serenity inside, well, the meditation experience is beautiful for you. Or if you want to just explore the world and get energized, well, then our international events are the ones for you, and a whole variety of different things between. And some are virtual, as I said, some are in person. Like we're going to London for one of our 1-day energy recharge events in August, and then Philippines in 2025, and etc. So some cool things coming up. But those are the three areas, the three parts of the ecosystem: the community, the academy, and the events. The way I look at it is like we have this energy, we have that synergy and energy within the community. You can get jolts of energy and support to help you overcome life's obstacles at any time you want through the academy. And then the live events, like our Energizer Summit coming up in September, are ways for you to surround yourself with other energizers, to learn and grow in different areas that fit you and where you're at in life's journey and support. So everywhere from free to we have a Energy Nexus program, which is basically a combination of like, hey, you get you get the summit, you get one of these events and this, that, the other thing, and even one-on-one coaching, which I only do with our Energy Nexus members now, you get that. So again, it's whatever works best for you, whether it's, hey, I'm coming in and doing the free thing or, a 247 thing or the $10,000 big package. Like, hey, we got you. We're here for you in any way that works for you.
Yeah, kind of supporting each stage of someone's development, sort of on that energy path, on that energy journey. Beautiful. Well, I love to know, I love hearing about what it is that you offer through the organization. I guess going back to you, just kind of more on a personal level, since this is the Meet Me podcast, I love to kind of understand all the different facets that add up to the whole. And so within this work, what would you say has been like some of the biggest breakthroughs you've experienced since starting Jonesin For, and maybe like where you were when you first started the organization to where you're at now and some of the lessons you've taken away personally?
Wow, thank you. I'm going to share one of the biggest breakthroughs I've had, and that was we had Jonesin For, and this stuff was growing, but it was still in the infancy stage. And that was it's more of a personal side of it. And this was the biggest breakthrough for me. For many years, for 30 plus years of my life, I was letting my ego guide me, right? And I was allowing it to make decisions for me, trying to show who I was. Hey, look at me. Like I'm worthy, I'm enough. I felt like I had to prove myself over and over and over again. And so I just let my ego make decisions. And you know how if you've let your ego or you, right, life will check you at points and like kick that pedestal out from underneath you and be like, well, that's not really you, is it? And I just blew it off. I was like, that's me. I got this. Like, no worries. And so I kept letting my ego make decisions and, wrote those phony checks, as it were. And then I made a really stupid choice. And then life knocked me down. And it was the darkest, lowest point in my life where I felt I was suicidal.
Yeah.
I had the two ways I was ready to commit it and obviously didn't, but was really close to. And I felt cold. My beautiful wife was with me and supported me, thank God. But I had her and like two other friends who I could call at any time. But outside of those like three people, I still, even with them in my life, I felt cold, exhausted, frustrated, drained, all the stuff that I talk about our energizers have felt in times because I felt that way. And I felt like I dug myself into this pit and I couldn't pull myself out. And saying that, I was doing personal growth development at the time, but I never let it really sink in, right? I never let it take hold. But now I was at my rock bottom and I saw a therapist and he validated some of the techniques and things I started or was doing. We restarted them and then he gave me new strategies and different ideas and thoughts of how we could deepen it and started to really grow and let myself love me for me. Because what I realized is I hated who I was. I felt like I was unlovable. I felt like I had all these labels that I was letting other people be the master of my energy, right? And how can we take that back and continuing to learn those tools and implementing them in my life was huge. The biggest part for me is I felt like I needed to prove myself, that I needed to show the world that I was worthy. And so I came up with the affirmations for myself, and I say them almost every chance I can get is that I am amazing, I am worthy, I'm enough. Because I need to hear that. But I also want to say to everybody here, you are amazing, you are worthy, you are enough just the way you are. And that was really the foundation of all the stuff that we're doing now with Jonesin For, with the Energizers, is that, hey, no matter what mistakes you have made in the past, right? If you've fallen out of alignment, you've done something stupid in your life, we all have, right? We're human. Humans make mistakes. Let's just pick it back up. Let's learn and grow from it. And let's release the guilt and shame and keep going forward. And that's been the driving force of all the stuff that we've built. Now, with that, as an entrepreneur, you're building a business. There's highs and lows, right? There's good days, there's bad days, there's days you're breaking records with, bringing people on and they're paying their invoices, all that. Other days, not so much. You look at the bank account and you're like, oh God, this is, and then there's so many ways you could take that personally and have it just drag you down like, oh my gosh, I'm a failure. I'm horrible. This was a stupid decision. And I've been there. And again, thank God, even with personal development and all the work I've done, I still find myself falling into that occasionally. And I do my best now to pull myself out of it. I have friends, I have a mastermind group that really helps pull me out. My wife, Katie's amazing, and she helps pull me out of it to just go, no. And I've gotten a lot better. Like I don't fall into it nearly as much.
Yeah, but
But
I think even just the fact that you admit to falling into it, that is so real. And the ego is such a tricky thing to maneuver. I think it's always trying to tell us a different narrative than what the truth is. And I'm
oh,
experiencing that so heavily right now, where it's like, no, you need to have this many followers, you need to have this much of an impact in order to be successful. And it's like, no, like you're worthy of whatever level of success that you know you deserve. And it doesn't have to look like everybody else's. Again, with the community being such a crucial part, there's also this sort of false narrative, I think, in like the healing communities where, oh, because we're healers, because we support others in healing, like we're always going to be able to heal ourselves. And it's not true. Like we need healers too, and we need that support and that community. And so I'm so grateful that you had those people to lean on during those dark times because we all do, no matter how many, how many healing sessions I've been through or how many breakthroughs and spiritual awakenings I've gone through. It's like, I still have my days where all of it feels like it was for nothing. And I'm just like right back where I was, either as, that broken inner child or going through whatever heartbreak I've been through. Being able to kind of redirect and find our way back to the truth is so important. But it's really hard to do it alone.
it really is. I mean, you can, but I would say for every successful person that we think is successful out there, whoever that would be, they have people in their corner. They have that support system. They had a community. Maybe that community is one person, but generally it's more than that. And when I've intentionally built the Jonesin For and the Energizer family, built that community that I needed and wanted from the handful of people to now thousands of people around the world. I have that support. I mean, selfishly, I have that support system for me when I need it, and I can reach out anytime. But then also, they have that support system because life's a journey filled with highs and lows. And even as healers, even as light workers or people who support one another, however you want to label yourself, you're going to have highs and lows, no matter if you're the best of the best, the world champion, right? Best in the world, you're still going to have hard days. Have that community who has your back to support you and love you and not, let you rest when you need to rest, but also kick you in the butt when you need to get going. And when you have those people in your corner, you get to go as far as you want to go. And then when they don't judge you, if it's not as far as they think, that's a beautiful thing.
Yeah, yeah. The no judgment is a huge thing too, because I feel like we get it from so many areas of life. It's like the last thing that you need is a community of support that judges you when you're trying to make decisions for yourself, right? It's more so just guiding with love, supporting with love, helping see the vision. I think it's so important even just to have people in your circle that support your vision, whatever that may be, and kind of speaking it out loud and having those affirmations of like, oh, okay, this is possible and I can do it and I will get out of this temporary situation, whatever that may be. So, it's so
Not
beautiful that you were able to create a community selfishly, like you said, for yourself, but the impact that it has on everybody that's part of it too. It just shows like how that light kind of spreads.
It does. It's this ripple effect of hey, you help this person and or two or three people, and they're gonna help two or three people, and it just this ripple effect goes out, and that's how we get to impact the world. Our mission is to help 1 billion people, to have 1 billion people in the Energizer family. And it's possible through this ripple effect and through people inviting and just sharing, and then you share your light, and they share their light, and it grows and grows and grows. To hop back to that community portion of people who support you, yes, you want them to support you and love you and not judge you, but you also want some people, not all of them, but some people to challenge you with it,
Oh,
right? To be like, is that really or can you do more? Do you want, and you're, just enough that pushes you outside your comfort zone in a healthy way, especially when it's people who again love you, don't judge you, who just want the best for you. Be intentional about who those people are. And it could be your family members, it could be friends, it might be people who you don't currently have in your life. Because I don't talk to my family anymore. I don't talk to my parents. My brothers I rarely talk to because they were the energy vampires, the people who were draining me and sucking all that life out of me. And I realized I gave them that power. Well, I set up a boundary and as hard as it was to say, like, okay, like I love you, I appreciate all you've done for me, but I'm going to love you from a distance. That then I can finally regain my energy and learn and grow and heal, so that I can forgive them, forgive myself, and move forward. But tying it back to the side tangent that I went on of community, have people who push you, who love you, but also remember to give yourself that love, that grace, that support. It's great to have it from others, but we are our own worst critic. give yourself that love, that grace, that acceptance, that forgiveness, but also push yourself as well, right? To see what you can do because you are incredibly amazing, incredibly capable. Don't hold yourself down. If you have a light to shine, shine it.
Yeah. Yeah. It's such a fine line to find the community that is meant for you. And kind of what I've been discovering, even just up until recently, because I relate a lot. I think most people who have kind of gone on the off the beaten path, maybe they're not doing a traditional job, right? A lot of energy work is not seen as traditional. And so typically us light workers, energy workers, we're constantly having to go against the grain, go against what our maybe immediate family society is telling us is correct. And so I have found it kind of has to start with yourself. You kind of have to decide, like, I know I am worthy for more. I know I am worthy of love. And in order to find that, I'm going to just continue to be my most authentic self and attract the people who come in. And I think obviously being surrounded by resources, obviously having a close circle that you can lean on for that guidance is so important. But it does sort of trickle from the self out. And it can be really hard to find your right community if you're not giving yourself that love first, because that's when you start projecting some of your insecurities and you start seeing them reflected back to you in your relationships or your friendships. And you're wondering why it's not quite fitting or not feeling good with these people. But it's typically because they're just all mirrors of what we're feeling on the inside.
How many times I've blamed other people or accused other people of certain things, and it was just a reflection of me, but I was too scared and too afraid to realize that. I didn't even know it at the time. That's what I was
Hard to
doing.
admit.
It's only
Yeah.
when I finally got brave enough to be like, okay, let's drop the shields, let's drop the walls, the armor, let's take a look inward at that inner Spencer and see what's going on. And then I go, oh, that's why I was such a jerk, or that's why I did these things. And or blame them for this. Well, let's work on that. Let's heal that for me so that I know who I am. Because when I hit my rock bottom, I didn't know who I was, what I
Mhm.
didn't know what I liked in the world. I lost, literally lost. I didn't know who Spencer was anymore. Like, what did Spencer like? Did he really like this TV show? Does he really like this food? Like, I was that lost
Yeah.
that once I finally took that ownership, and it's scary because man, we're taught to put up these walls, this armor, to put on these faces and go on this journey that other people are telling us to take, or what we feel other people or society's telling us to take, whether they are or not. It's it seems safer, and it's really scary to go inward and do this inner work. But once you do, it's so healing and so energizing once you fully step into it. I can't imagine not having it. And I'm sensitive to know when I step out of alignment because I've worked hard at just being open and in alignment. So then once you do that, well, you start to realize, oh, these people around me, hmm, they're not aligned anymore, right? I thought they were. Like I'm a person who, let's say I want to sit here and read or go out and go for a walk in nature, and they're like, let's go to the bar and get trashed every night. And you're like, well, oh, that might have been me because I was trying to numb all these feelings and thoughts, but not anymore, right? So being open and willing to separate those connections, start surrounding yourself with the people who resonate. And what, as you pointed out, once you're you, that energy goes out and you'll start attracting that right tribe. I mean, there's a reason you're listening to this podcast right now and the Energizer community. Test it out, see if it is for you. If it's not, hey, cool, I appreciate you trying it out. If it is, awesome. Like welcome and we're here for you. Or any community, whatever that is, to give it a little shot. I mean, you don't have to go
Yeah.
all in, but check it out, see if it resonates. Dip your toe in a little bit, dip your foot in, and like, okay, this is good. Then go for it and see how it goes.
I think everything in life is a bit of trial and error. You kind of have to like try things out. And if you don't try, you'll never know. But if you try something and it's not a fit, okay, now you know. Now you can move on to something else. But if you try something and it ends up being what you needed, like, thank goodness you tried it, right? So I feel like that is a big thing too of like, being open to that trial and error, being open to, okay, maybe this won't work out, but hey, I'm going to try it anyway because it's calling out to me and I just feel like I need to know. And
Right.
same thing with relationships and just as people, we're constantly growing, we're constantly evolving. Who we are today is not going to be who we are in a few months or next year. And so kind of like having those readjustments and reviewing like your relationships. Is this fulfilling me still? Or was this something that I'm holding on to from a past self that I need to let go go of, and being really, again, in tune with yourself, in tune with what's your divine alignment. And yeah, sometimes you might fall off the track, but having that support in order to get back there, or just knowing like within yourself what those sensations are, like you said, once you kind of fall into alignment, it is hard to stay off of it because you're constantly being pulled back to
Right.
alignment. But
And
sometimes, again, your ego or your physical body is still holding on to things that you got to work through.
yeah, and let's just be honest and real. You are going to fall out of alignment.
Oh
You
yeah.
are always going to stay there, right? We say, at some point or sometimes you will. I guarantee you, you will at some point to some degree. But the goal and hope is that you recognize that you have that awareness. And hopefully, the more, it sounds weird, the more or farther you are in your journey, the more you do it, the faster you realize
Yeah.
and
You can
get that
bounce back
awareness.
a little
Oh, I'm out
quicker.
of alignment. And you can bounce back faster, right? You don't, it's not quite as big of a journey to come back. Like, oh, let's just, oh, realignment. Like I realized it just last week. So we're recording this on a Monday for people to know. On Friday, I was starting to feel frustrated. I was upset because things weren't happening in the businesses I was hoping that they were. And I could feel those feelings of feeling like a failure, like we talked about before. Like I feel like I'm a failure, that this isn't working. What am I doing? Now, like a month or two ago, I remember having that feeling really strongly, but I took it as like, I am a failure. I am worthless. Who am I? On Friday, I go, oh, I recognize this. I know that this is the feeling where it's dragging me to, but I now know it's not me. It's just a situation. What can we do to remedy this? So I didn't even get fully pulled. I mean, I was still off my energy to a degree,
Right.
right? I wasn't totally full alignment, but I was enough to go, oh, I know not to get sucked in here and blame myself or take on those labels. It's like, oh, this is just the situation where it is. What can we do to remedy this? And then create the plan, implement it, and come back. And that was, I mean, as opposed to sucking a whole day away of out of alignment, it was like half a day. I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, there's improvement, right?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, you're still moving along and getting through it a little bit faster. Like you said, I don't think we're ever going to avoid having those moments of feeling down. And, it is work to get out of that. Sometimes it is a lot easier to let it take over and just be like, you know what, I'm helpless in the situation. I'm just gonna let it take control and my whole day is ruined. And I'm just gonna sit here and wait till it gets better. It takes a lot of intentional action to stop it in its tracks and say, hold on, like this sounds familiar. Where have I seen this before? What were the trends that were happening when this happened last time? How did I get out of it that time? How can I get out of it now? Just kind of evaluating again constantly of like how we can respond differently and how we can take our experiences and allow those to guide us better to the path that we're on.
right, 100%. It makes such a big difference when you have that awareness because awareness is always the first step. Once you
Yep,
have that
absolutely.
awareness, then you could take action, right? That's then that's your choice. Or you could take action. The action could be I'm not doing anything, or the action is I'm going to change it or do something different. The choice is yours, but awareness is always that first step.
Yeah, absolutely. And, we're talking a lot about personal struggles, obviously within business and things of that nature. Do you have anything that you kind of go to as far as separating your energy? Because there's so much happening in the world these days, right? Our collective is definitely feeling pulled in so many different directions, tragedies left and right. Is there like a go-to practice that you utilize in the line of work? Because you kind of have to keep a clear energy field, I would think, and being able to separate that energy from your own. And is there anything that you use daily to implement?
Yeah, there's three things that well, I mean, I have my whole morning routine, which really helps set up my
Mm,
energy and positive shield, or not, I don't know, like even think of it as a shield, positive energy for the day. Within those three components, one is journaling, just journaling, getting all the stuff out of my head and onto a sheet of paper, and then process and work through. Working out has been a big part of my life for me, and if that works for you, great. Just move your body in a way that works for you. That's been a crucial component because that helps me hone in my focus, burn some calories, and feel good and energized. And then probably the biggest thing is meditate. Like I will meditate every day, and it's not long. It could be 5 minutes, it could be 10 minutes, it could be a half hour at points, but usually it's 5 or 10, where I do different things that I need on the day, but it's usually a visualization of some type of meditation for me. But that's my daily practice. And okay, so I talk my whole morning routine. I work on at home. I'll go downstairs and I'll journal. I'll write affirmations, gratitudes, and some manifestation work, and then I'll work out, and then I'll meditate, and then I will get going on with the rest of my day.
Awesome. Yeah, I think for me, I realized meditation kind of more recently. I'm like, this is a non-negotiable because there are some days where I would do it and I'd feel good and then I'd fall off of it. But it's really one of those things you have to stay consistent with. And I feel more now more than ever, it's so necessary because of the constant stimulation we're getting through our phones and our computers. And, again, all of the constant updates about what's happening in the world. It's like it's so necessary to just drop in and kind of remove all the noise, just focus on breath. And I love that you mentioned like it doesn't have to be a lot. It can be 5 minutes, it can be 10 minutes, maybe start out with like 3 minutes and work your way up from there. But just having that little bit of peace for your brain is so necessary and kind of finding out and also like getting a better relationship with your intuition and knowing who you are under the surface too.
Well, and for those listeners who have never meditated before, I get it if it's tough. Like when I first started, I'm not diagnosed ADHD, but when I had a brain scan done, they're like, this is a classic ADHD style brain. I'm like, shocker, that's been my whole life. Like, squirrel over there, shiny
Right.
objects. That meditating was difficult. So I could do 30 seconds and realizing I don't have to I'm not trying to clear my head of no thought. Just focus your thought on one thing. That's why I like visualizations because it moves along through a storyline usually for me, but I could focus on one thing at a time. And so just focusing on, and so that when I get distracted, oh, just come back. I just gentle permission. Oh, I recognize it. I'm aware of it, but I come back, right? And so that's been a big help. Give yourself 30 seconds if you're just starting off, a minute, see how that goes. And then for me, at least within a week or two, I was up to 2, 3 minutes. And then another week or two, I was up to 5 and I plateaued there for a couple weeks. But start small, build it up. The other thing that I do throughout the day that helps just at random moments when I need it or I feel like it is breath work. Like
Mm.
right before this call, I was feeling just worked up, a little frustration from some messages I received. Not that they were bad, but it was just frustrating, some, business stuff. And so I'm like, okay, I don't want to bring this energy on this call. So let's just stop. For me, I closed my eyes, took some slow, deep breaths, right? Sometimes I'll do a 4, 7, 8 breath or a square box breathing to certain
Mhm.
method. Other times it's just like, oh, let's just come to the present moment and breathe because the breathing is such a beautiful thing. It's a physical thing we can control, which then controls our physical body, our heart rate, and relaxes blood vessels, but it also calms the mind. And so for me, when I need it or throughout the day, I'll just do a quick breath work. And that could be 10 seconds, it could be 30 seconds, all right? And it helps me just come back that much faster.
So revitalizing. I love that you mentioned that too, because same thing for me right before this call. I was like stressed out with stuff going on with work and it was just chaotic. I'm like, okay, I'm going to light my candle on my altar. I'm going to sit and breathe and just clear out the energy and just allow it to move through you. Because again, we're not going to ever avoid frustration. It's a human emotion. We're never going to avoid disappointment with certain things that we thought were going to work out, but bringing it back to the center and bringing it back to the present moment is just all we can do sometimes. And it's the best thing we can do.
Agreed. And that's the life happens in the present moment, right? All these cliches that we hear, but it's so true because like we could look in the past and I've been known to live in the past for years and the guilt and shame I had is like crazy, but you release it because you're not living in the past anymore. Come to the present moment because this is where living happens. And then the future, yes, plan your future, make the plans, the things that you need for that success, but then come to the present moment and take it one step at a time. Look and learn from the past, plan for the future, but then come to the present moment and just take that one step at a time. And breath work, meditation, all that helps you just come to the here and now and savor it. Because as you said, we can't avoid these emotions. It's not like we're never going to feel angry again. It's not like we're ever not going to feel sadness or sorrow or whatever. The Dalai Lama, who I think is being like this the pinnacle of like they have this mindfulness thing down, still gets angry, still gets frustrated at times, but just moves off of it faster than many of us can or do currently. That's all. It's just a practice, right? So don't have that false belief that you'll never have those things because it's life. And it's part of this human journey, human experience is to have those emotions. So acknowledging and allowing yourself to feel and work through them when it's appropriate and you to determine when that is crucial. And then allowing yourself to be at your best whenever and all the time if possible.
Absolutely. Yeah, using that discernment of, okay, I need to feel my feelings, I need to acknowledge them, but not letting them take over or filter into these horrible narratives that we catch ourselves in. This has been such a pleasure and an absolute gem of a conversation, Spencer. You have such a bright smile and bright light. I'm so excited for more people to discover what you're doing. Is there any last words that you want to share with the listeners, or where else they can find you and connect with you?
Yeah, thank you. I know I mentioned if you're on Facebook, go to the Energy Hub free group. But you can also check out all the other stuff that we do, the Academy, everything. Just go to wearejonesinfor.com. So it's jonesinfor.com. And you can check it out, all the cool stuff there. But I'll leave with these words. And I already said them earlier, but I hope that you just take a moment, let them sink in. You are amazing. You are worthy. You are enough just the way you are. You don't need to do anything, change anything, or prove anything to anyone because you are amazing, worthy, and enough. Thank you so much for having me on.
Thank you so much, as always, for dedicating some time and energy into listening to this episode. If you enjoyed this episode or any of my previous episodes, please don't forget to rate, write a review, share, and subscribe to the podcast. Spread the word. It helps the podcast grow, and I'm so looking forward to some of the upcoming content. If you're looking for ways to connect with me, my website is meetmehealing.com. On there, you'll find everything in relation to the healing services that I provide for booking, as well as podcast information and some of the recent blog posts that I've just updated on there as well. You can also connect with me on Instagram or on Threads at meetme.michelle. I look forward to hearing from you and can't wait to share more with you so soon. Until then, bye.